Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in today, because we are turning the pages of a truly terrifying supernatural tale. We're exploring this fascinating piece of folklore where surviving doesn't depend on how fast you can run or how strong you are. Nope, it depends entirely on knowing and manipulating a very specific set of rules. We're looking at the story of Akkad Bakkad. It's a seriously chilling narrative about a village haunted by entities that don't just lurk in the dark, they actually inhabit the trees themselves. It is a masterclass in tension, rule-based horror, and quick thinking. So if you're ready to learn how to survive when the woods literally come alive around you, let's get started.
They say the forest sometimes gets hungry. That hunger which remains buried for centuries under the roots, in the layers of soil, and the bark of those trees we consider just trees. But there are some nights when the branches bend toward where there is breath. That opening quote right there from our source material, it perfectly sets the atmospheric dread of this story. We aren't dealing with your typical ghost here. We're dealing with a 40-year-old curse that is suddenly, violently awakened. It is an ancient, primal hunger. And for 4 decades, 2 distinct spirits have been waiting patiently inside the bark of these trees.
All right, Section 1, The Forest Awakens. Let's look at the signs of the curse.
So picture this. How do you even know the forest has woken up?
Well, the story brilliantly illustrates this escalating horror. The source details how an older villager named Lata starts noticing that the trees at the edge of the forest are physically inching closer to their homes every single night. Can you imagine? A mother, Mina, and her young daughter Pihu actually experience this terror firsthand. Imagine lying in bed and hearing these heavy scraping sounds right above you on your roof. And then the silence is suddenly broken by these demonic, guttural whispers. Book. Good. Mina watches in absolute panic as pointy, sharp branches slowly creep their way inside through the cracks of her door. The physical evidence mounts the very next day when Lata finds Mina's scarf hinging high up in the branches of the old banyan tree, totally torn apart as if there was some violent struggle. The threat is undeniable at this point. The trees are closing in.
Which brings us to Section 2, Demonic Tree Rules. You've got to know your enemy. Now let's break down the lore-first survival guide the village relies on, because they've actually known about these 2 entities for 40 years. First up is Akkad. Akkad is triggered by and absolutely hates shine. He's your direct attacker. The source tells this terrifying anecdote where Lata tries to protect her home by stringing up bells, hoping the noise will keep them away. But Akkad breaks right through her roof and turns the bells to ash with a single touch. And when Lata tries to hide behind a mirror, the shine makes Akkad even angrier. Then you have Bakkad, who is the exact opposite. Bakkad is triggered by loud noise, and he hunts entirely by tracking sound. So these are the strict, unbending rules of this universe. If you use shine, you anger Akkad. If you make noise, you attract Bakkad. Moving into Section 3, Trapped in the Woods, a desperate escape. So Mina finds herself lost deep in the forest at night, desperately searching for her daughter Pihu. Suddenly, a tree that was not there seconds ago appears right in front of her. It's Bakkad, and he's swiping at her with these massive branch-like claws. She barely manages to escape and runs into a small wooden shed where she miraculously finds Pihu already hiding under a table. But it's too late. The demons completely surround the shed, so I really want you to think about this question. If one demon tracks sound and the other one tracks shine, how do you escape when both of them are standing right outside your door? How in the world do you use these rules against them?
Mina's application of the folklore here is just incredibly smart. Step 1, she hides under the table, holding her daughter as tight as she can. Step 2, she tells Pihu they must remain perfectly, completely silent. Even a whisper, or honestly even a slow breath, is going to alert Bakkad, who is listening intently from right outside the wooden walls. But remember, Akkad is out there too. So, step 3, Mina does something brilliant. She takes off her shiny ring and throws it out the window. Remember the rules we just talked about? Akkad is drawn to and enraged by shine. He spots the ring and focuses entirely on it, which buys Mina and Pihu the precious silent time they need to stay hidden in the dark. It is a perfect, intensely tense application of the story's own logic.
Meanwhile, back in the village, Section 4, The Mirror and Drum, the offensive plan. Lata and her friend Geeta are done hiding. They head straight to the old banyan tree, carrying heavy sacks. Let's walk through exactly how this goes down. Step 1. Lata pulls out a massive drum and just begins beating it with all of her might. This sound is echoing through the entire forest, literally shaking the ground. Step 2. Over at the shed, Akkad and Bakkad hear this deafening noise. It completely tortures Bakkad, who covers his ears in agony, and they both abandon the shed to charge furiously back toward the sound. Step 3. As these massive tree demons bear down on them, Gita steps in front and reveals a stand made entirely of mirrors, reflecting this blinding light directly into Akkad's eyes. And finally, step 4. The combination is just too much. The deafening noise overloads Bakkad, and the blinding shine incapacitates Akkad. You can hear their bark begin to crack, they fall to their knees, and ultimately, they crumble into ash, their spirits dissolving right into the wind. It's a brilliant tactical victory.
You have to picture this. As those massive demons were charging, Gita was terrified by their deafening growls. I mean, who wouldn't be? But Lata, showing this incredible, fearless leadership, told her this exact quote: "Stand exactly like this. Do not weaken at all." It perfectly encapsulates the pure courage it takes to stand face to face with a 40-year-old curse and hold your ground using nothing but a drum, a mirror, and a deep knowledge of folklore.
But of course, no good horror story ends without a lingering chill, right? Section 5, a new threat. The danger lurks. The morning after the attack, the village completely returns to normal. The banyan tree is back in its original spot. Ladita, Meena, and the others stare at the leftover ash, wondering if that 40-year hunger is truly, finally gone. Well, fast forward a few months. A man from the city is visiting. He's sitting quietly by the river, just smoking a cigarette. When out of absolutely nowhere, the water violently splashes, as if something beneath the surface is infuriated. Thick, green moss suddenly and rapidly spreads all over the man's body, and in the blink of an eye, he is forcefully dragged right under the dark water.
Which leaves us with this final, super chilling thought. The village successfully used the rules of folklore to defeat the hungry forest. But in doing so, in shaking the earth and the roots so violently, did they inadvertently awaken something else entirely? Did they awaken the water? It's a fantastic cliffhanger that shows just how deep and expansive folklore can be. Once you learn the rules of one monster, you might just find yourself standing right in the territory of another. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember, if you're ever out in the woods, watch out for the shine and keep absolutely quiet.